How we doing? Good spirits? Every now and then I do like mental health checks. Everybody mentally okay? Good. Good. You know, during my campaign, I talked about open government, about being transparent and accountable. And so one of the things I wanted to talk about today, before we get to all the questions that you all may have of me and some other folks that are here, I wanted to talk about our open City Hall. Through this process, people can visit City Hall anywhere. They can do it online. And we have two agencies that are already engaged in the process, so I wanted them to explain to you what they're doing. There are 12 different types of topics, from open-ended questions to surveys, inviting residents to actually mark up a draft policy with their proposed changes. Open City Hall is a way that folks can communicate with the city on various levels, so I'm going to have our health commissioner, Dr. Lena Nguyen, talk about what she's doing, and then you'll hear from the police commissioner, and they'll talk about how they get feedback. And then I'll come back for questions.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. We're excited to partner with you and always to work under your collaborative leadership, and thank you for your commitment to transparency and open government. I'm also really happy to join our police commissioner, whom I had the opportunity of speaking at Light City with on a panel a couple of days ago on the integration of public health and public safety. Now, in health, we know that there's no such thing as each of us doing health alone. And certainly we in the Baltimore City Health Department cannot do work as a silo, because frankly, we know that the data show otherwise. We know that there are neighborhoods in our city that are just a few miles apart where the life expectancy can differ by 20 years. And yet we also have the best medical institutions in the world that are right here in our backyard. So we know that health is not just about the health care that you get. That health also depends on issues like education and housing and poverty. And at the same time, health also integrally affects issues like drug addiction and public safety. And so we in the health department has a long history of innovative approaches. We hire people from the communities and see that people are solutions, not problems. For example, hiring people who are in recovery themselves to work on our needle exchange vans. We engage the community in everything that we do, including with coming up recently with our Healthy Baltimore 2020 plan, which the mayor has participated in multiple recent conversations around. And we embrace innovation and public-private partnerships, but always making sure that community voices are integrated. And so for us, it is the natural next step to take with Open City Hall. We're excited to continue conversations on health equity. We will be having questions that are posted on the website on topics ranging from infant mortality to mental health and trauma to seeing violence as a health issue. We invite all of our residents to participate in this online platform as well as in ongoing conversations around health equity. So we look forward to working with all of our partners in the city, especially all of our residents, to continue the collaborations to improve health and well-being for all Baltimore. So thanks again to Madam Mayor for spearheading this effort.
Okay, and now we'll hear from our police commissioner.
Thank you, Mayor, for your constant leadership, and Dr. Nguyen for your leadership as well. Transparency is one of those words that you hear from lecterns during press conferences. It's kind of like the words reform, change, transparency. They don't mean much unless we do something about it. So this is a real tangible way that good government is seeking input from our residents about what they would like to see from our government. So one of the first things that we're seeking from our residents is what they would like to see with our ongoing reform efforts. So that's one of the first things that we're going to be seeking from the community, and I look very much forward to the surveys that are going to guide us in the right direction, because we may think we know what folks want from time to time, but unless we are actually engaged with people, we really don't know. So this is another way that Baltimore, under Mayor Pugh's administration, is really leading the way for good government, and I'm very excited to be a part of it. Thank you.
So Kirsten is one of our geniuses that works for the city, and so one of the things we try to allow is that creativity bubbles to the top, and so she's going to give you a demonstration.
So as Mayor Pugh pointed out, all city agencies are going to have the opportunity to utilize this platform to ask one of the 12 different types of questions. The ones that we have up right now, we have 3. One from the mayor herself, which is like a fill-in-the-blank type question. And then we have 2 surveys, one from the health department and one from the police department. But what I'll walk you through is just, as a resident, how this would go. So you'll come to baltimorecity.gov and you'll see right on the home page that there's an Open City Hall icon. Clicking this icon would take you to Open City Hall's home page portal, where at any time you could see the questions that are available to the public. So I'm going to use Ask the Mayor because it's the most simple one to walk through as the example. So you'll click Ask the Mayor and you'll see specifically what we're asking you and how long you have left. And you can see here how many other people have participated, and this is all me. So, so you'll come, once you click Ask the Mayor, I'm going to show you from a unlogged in and then logged in. So you'll go to the topic, and it'll show you the introduction, saying you've committed to transparency. I want to know what you want to know from me. So you'll come down and you'll say, okay, I'm going to take the survey. And this is a really important component. So residents are going to be asked, yes, show my name with my response. Yes, show my response, but don't show my name. And no, show it without my name at all. And what these things mean, if you click either of the yes, you're going to be prompted to register for the portal. Registering for the portal is a very positive thing for the city because we're going to be able to, on an aggregate level, look at this data on maps, figure out if a specific age group, community, council district feels a certain way about something we're asking the community, and then we can really hone in our efforts with the people who are asking for that. So by clicking yes, you would register. That'll take us through kind of a rabbit hole, so I'm going to do it on mine, which is already registered. So I'm going to go to the topic just like we had before, and I'm going to take the survey. And now you'll see that it's asking me the same thing, which is confusing because I was logged in. So let's say yes, show it with my name. Apologies. Apparently it wants me to log in again. Nobody stole my password.
Oh, wow, Kristen.
Just trying to make it simple. Okay, so now that I'm logged in, you'll see it from once you've registered what the experience is like. And if you don't register, it just takes you straight to the topic to answer the questions. But I want to show you the registered. So you're going to go in and you're going to type your 3. You'll say, yes, show my name. Even if you're registered, you could choose not to show your name publicly. So yes, show my name. And, I'm going to give the mayor some test questions. And click next. And here it'll say, okay, this is, Peak Democracy's role, basically. And then your role, you've answered the question, here's what you said, are you okay with it? Now you can come back anytime and sign into your account and update. So then you'll click OK, making it registered. You've officially answered the question. And so under feedback, if you have a number of people answering, you can see what other people have said, you can like what they've said, you can engage with them, which is a really cool component of this platform. And at the very end, I think what sets Peak Democracy apart is there's an outcome tab, and at the end, once the topic is closed and information has been used, we're going to come back here and tell you how it was used, which I think is what really sets this apart. And so for Mayor Pugh's questions, this would be where she would post, probably one of many places where she would post the responses to those questions. And then as the commissioners both said, they have topics. So just to give you a quick preview, the police department is asking what your priorities are for the reform, and it's a survey, so you'll go in, answer some questions, and finalize that. And then the health commissioner and the health department are asking about issues of health equity, and that's kind of in a ranking format. So from a 1 to 5, how much does this impact your life? And so on the back end, again, we can take this, make maps, make focus groups, and really the data becomes actionable, which is what sets this type of engagement apart from just an in-person engagement.
this is already launched and live, and so you'll be able to access it
Right here.
today.
So any questions for Kirsten? Let's give her a big round of applause. Yay, Kirsten. All right. Questions for me?
Well, I guess for you and Commissioner Davis.
Sure.
I mean, in the Attorney General's brief on possibly delaying the consent decree, they mentioned, well, we want to focus on crime and fighting a crime increase. In Baltimore, through the first 3 months of the year, we've got a 43% increase in homicides. Is it possible that the Attorney General is right, that you can't maybe focus both on comprehensive police reform and also a possible spike in crime?
Well, in my opinion, I would think not. I would think that you can do both. Criminal justice reform is absolutely something that we must do in our city. We know that. A 163-page report that lays out all of the infractions that we need to take care of, I think, are relevant. And I believe that when they hear from the citizens, is that tomorrow?
Yes, ma'am.
Tomorrow, that they'll get a flavor of why this is important. I thought that when we went to court, and the judge asked me if I completely understood what this meant, I gave the answer that we do. And do we think we have the resources? And I believe that part of what happens with this consent decree is that it opens up the opportunities to get more resources. We, as you well know, have put some monies in the budget for this consent decree, even though we don't know what the total cost may be. One of the things that really concerns me is the need for more technology in our police department, and that cost is very concerning.
Mayor, do you think,
Can I just add one thing? The crime fight and reform are not mutually exclusive endeavors. It's not choose one door or the other. And we are big enough and great enough as a profession, as a government, as a country to realize that we have to engage both in the crime fight and in police reform. It's been done elsewhere and it'll be done in Baltimore.
I'd like to ask both of you this question. Mayor, to start with you. Considering the tone of the Trump administration as it pertains to these matters of policing and constitutional policing, and the weighting going to policing, do you think it matters what the public says in a public hearing with the Department of Justice in the room?
Well, to this judge, I believe that it does matter. And he said that he would be impartial, that he would listen to the community as well as to the city and the police department. And I think that their response is going to be very important to this. I believe that the flavor of the Trump administration should not have an impact on how we move forward, because we're going to move forward regardless. I just think that it creates some restraints as it relates to how do we galvanize those funds to make some of the changes that need to take place. But we also know that some of those changes have taken place. When you think about body cameras on police officers, straps inside of our vans now, cameras inside of our vans now, but it's the training that's important. It's the technology for the police department so that we can, be able to focus on areas where crime is taking place, so that we will know where police officers are and how we deploy them in such a way that is more effective and efficient.
So, Mayor, you and the police commissioner have said, hey, we're going to reform the department, right? That's our goal, that's our mission. So some might say, well, why do we even need the consent decree then if you are so committed? Is it because future administrations and future police chiefs might not have the same goal, or how do you answer that question?
Well, let me just say, too, when I was on Capitol Hill just last week, I talked with my federal delegation about resources that are needed. And what we don't want is to be restricted in terms of our ability to galvanize the funds that are needed. And some of that is going to come from the federal level. You know that we've gotten some monies from the state. $2 million have been put into the state budget for this. And then we ourselves have included $10 million in our budget. But some of this technology is very expensive. And our federal delegation is ready to move forward to seek funds for us. And that's going to, we need that federal help.
So you think the consent decree makes it more likely that we'll get federal dollars?
Absolutely, absolutely.
What's some of the most expensive technology upgrades that are going to have to be tackled here?
Do you want to talk about it?
So several. We don't have computers in our police cars yet. I got the first computer in my police car in 1998. We don't have a records management system that allows our detectives to connect the dots in a timely way when crimes are committed. Our investigators have a investigative case management system that's run by Lotus Notes. If you all are old enough to remember Lotus Notes.
Nobody in here.
Okay.
Not even
Not
Jen.
you, Jen.
Not you, Jen. You're not.
So those are some of the technology things that aren't going to necessarily make the front page of the newspaper or the top of the 6 o'clock news, but those are the details behind it all, and it's hard work, and details tend to have price tags attached to them, and the mayor's right. You know, she can use, you know, her authority to galvanize and support to get us to a better place.
David, can we ask you a question?
Sure.
Real quick. I mean, have you had any communication with lawyers at DOJ or Judge Bedard's chamber?
Okay, so yes, I have talked to my counterparts at the Department of Justice. We spoke last week and we spoke yesterday regarding the hearing tomorrow. And like I said, last week we were prepared to go. This week they obviously filed a motion and they've said the same things that they say in the motion. One of the things I want to make clear is that, you know, they didn't just say this was about, you know, your question when you said this was just about policing and supporting law enforcement. That's not what they said. They said that that's part of it, and part of it is also making sure that it's done to protect civil rights. So when we had our conversation yesterday, they continued that same tone. I suspect and hope that they will continue to have that same attitude. But as the mayor has said, it's our position that we're going to go forward. It is certainly helpful when you have the federal support. Part of the issue here, I think someone asked the question, part of the issue here is also having trust by the outside as to what we're doing. We can do it, and we have been doing. But to have an independent verification of that helps bridge that trust factor. And that's why this is important.
And we talked about that. We talked about the need to have that support for the community, for them to believe that we're really about the business of doing this. And I think for the outside community, for our community, the civilian community, having that consent decree in place gives them some confidence that we're really working together to bring about the change that needs to, and we don't need to erode that trust at all.
So as of right now, what are you expecting to happen at the hearing tomorrow?
I don't have a crystal ball, but right now, the hearing is still set to go. I am prepared to go. My colleagues at the Department of Justice indicated that they're prepared to move forward. There isn't a ruling that says that it's not going to go forward. As I said in our opposition, I think that the interest of the United States in reviewing the consent decree in connection with the policies are not mutually exclusive to the public being given an opportunity to speak. Those things can happen at the same time. This hearing is really to hear from the public, not so much from either the United States government or the city or the police department. So I don't believe a need to postpone that is necessary for a review. They can start that now, and the judge can give them time to do that before ruling on the fairness hearing. But conducting the fairness hearing, there is absolutely no reason to postpone that and not give the public an opportunity to speak towards.
I do know the advocates are looking forward to testifying.
David, are we correct that at the stage we're at in Baltimore, first there was the investigation, then there was the report, then there was the negotiation and an agreement,
Right.
which really settled the lawsuit. Am I correct?
Well, the lawsuit is still pending. The consent decree is a way of resolving the lawsuit. Typically, lawsuits, I mean, you know, I'm a longtime litigator. Typically, lawsuits aren't the quickest way to resolve issues, but in this instance, it is. And the reason is because we have, from the beginning, done this as a collaborative process. And realizing that we do need an outside source to give credence to the reforms that we've done, that we're doing, and that we're gonna do is important. So that's how the lawsuit is resolved through the consent decree.
So, but at this point, we are before, that's been signed, the consent decree's been signed.
By the
agreement's been
parties.
signed By the parties.
Right.
The judge now has to accept it. Once the judge accepts it, the power in this really shifts, am I correct, to the court?
Well, the court there's a lawsuit filed, so the court has some power because it's now in the courts, in the judicial system. You know, plaintiffs, however, can do different things in the case. I think once it becomes a court order, then there are additional powers that the court has given under the order.
Including the independent monitor.
Right.
Yeah, including the monitor.
So is there a way to have an independent monitor, which you referenced the trust that would give the community? Is there a way to get that another way without, if the consent decree?
There's always multiple ways to skin a cat, but I think this is the most efficient way to do it, the most cost-effective way to do it. Having the federal support is I think, a necessary and helpful thing.
But to your point, I do think that we need someone who oversees to make sure that what we're putting in place is, the right policies, whether it is right equipment, right policies, open government as it relates to how the community interacts with the police, how we reform the police department, recruiting, as we know, is also a part of that, creating more diversity inside of our police department, and diversity training, and how we handle folks who have mental health issues, drug issues. We want to change, and we are working on those kinds of changes.
So switching gears away from the DOJ, sorry, I have to ask about something else. How close are you to naming another housing commissioner? Where are you at in that search process?
Very, very close. Very close on that, and very close on Parks and Recreation. Very close.
Do you have a timeline of when you might be able to name someone?
I would hope in the next 3 weeks at the latest. I would think. Y'all know how scrutinizing I am.
So you've had a number of candidates come.
Absolutely. A lot of great candidates, both on the HCD side and on the HABC side. A lot of great candidates for Parks and Recreation. Very excited about them.
And are there still plans to divide up the two agencies?
Absolutely.
So we're gonna have one housing commissioner for each, or,
Yes.
so we're gonna hire two people?
Yes.
Okay, all
Mhm.
right.
There are already two agencies. So
They were two agencies. Those agencies were pulled together under,
Right.
yeah, in every other city, in every major city that you go in, whether it is Philadelphia, DC, Boston, Chicago, you name it.
So there'll no longer be Paul Graziano figure that is overvoted, that we took it.
No, no. Mm-mm.
Commissioner, can we go back just to follow up on something you said about the technology and the lack thereof in the Baltimore Police Department? I can remember covering stories over the years of pocket cops and, all this technology that seemed like, oh, this is a great thing. But what you're suggesting is that the really fundamental technology upgrades that are needed for policing were not done. Am I correct?
Absolutely. Pocket cops can run a wanted check, basically, and do some very basic things that our profession requires. But being able to write a police report today, Jane, and put it into a 21st century records management system today, and have that electronically written and disseminated, gives a detective immediate access to a crime report that was written earlier the same day to possibly help her or him solve a crime that very same day. So right now, the handwritten reports that are transported via horse and buggy to our records management system are entered manually into our records management system, and the time it takes to get those reports into our records management system and available to our detectives is about 6 weeks. So that's inconsistent with where we are as a society.
Right.
Well, it also makes it, I would assume, pretty difficult to keep track of trends and.
Sure. If you're driving a green minivan, and I hope you don't, I'm not following you. If you're driving a green minivan this morning, Jane, and you get in an offender bender, and the police come out and write a accident report, and later on today you're involved in an armed robbery, that green minivan can be queried. Green minivan. Oh, it was involved in a fender bender on Pratt Street 3 hours before there was a commercial robbery 2 blocks away from the fender bender. It's that type of investigative tool that's available to all of our surrounding jurisdictions that, for whatever reason, or for many reasons, Baltimore has chosen over the years not to invest in that technology.
But and just and I'm going to leave it with this, technology platform throughout the city is so antiquated. When I think of the Department of Human Resources telling me that it takes 8 weeks to hire somebody, and I said, okay, so what's the problem here? Well, we're still testing with pencils and pens, and you all know today in many companies and corporations, especially, that stuff is online. And so we got to change the way we're doing business, and that's why we're doing this open government piece. But if we can change it here, permitting process, the same thing that we announced last week. I mean, now you can just go online and get a permit. Those things have to change throughout government, and the technology is really needed in our police department. So, thank you all.
Wait,
Thanks.
one more. School layoffs. What's your reaction to the announcement?
Well, let me just say the CEO of the school system has a big job, and that's her issue to deal with. We want the school system to recognize that it does have some issues, as you well know. Everybody is grappling for the same shrinking population. As I said before, the good news is that the growth is in the elementary school level. However, we've opened up 30 charter schools, and everybody's seeking that same population. The charter school population is not required to hire those who are in the public school system. Now, they join the union once they are in a charter school, but they're not required to hire these folks over here. So I tell you all, do the math. If you've got 30 charter schools with 50 employees on the average, that's 1,500 people. Either you absorb them, either you bring them from there over to here, or you're going to have an issue. We were able to successfully get money at the state level, and we've committed $180 million over the next 3 years. I just learned that we also got some more money coming as it relates to transportation dollars, so our children don't have to worry about how they ride buses and so forth for after-school programs or during school hours, because we've got some highway user money that's coming, but there's also some legislation that's now on third reader that will cover us for the next 3 or 4 years. Okay? Thank you all.